So what a week it's been for Impact Wrestling. There has been so much going on over the last 7 days or so, and there is a ton of stuff to get into. So stay tuned today, because if you're not subscribed already, subscribe bottom right hand corner, because there is a ton of news stories. We're going to be talking all about Impact Wrestling today. We do a ton of Impact Wrestling content here on the channel. But what I want to talk about, start off with here today, is Taya Valkyrie, because it's been confirmed by multiple sources and multiple outlets that the former Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie has indeed signed with WWE. She's expected to make her debut in NXT very, very soon, and it's a huge signing for WWE, but of course it does have some connotations when it comes to Impact Wrestling. Now, Mike Johnson of PW Insider has confirmed with multiple sources that former Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie has signed with WWE. Now, Valkyrie was with Impact Wrestling from 2017 up until January of 2021. She reigned as Knockouts champion from January 2019 through January 2020, a total of 377 days. That reign is the longest in the 13-year history of the championship. She is the longest reigning Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion in history, but she was officially written out of Impact Wrestling storylines following a loss to Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo at the end of Hard to Kill in January. She was then revealed as the person behind the shooting of Johnny Bravo, that mystery that was ongoing in Impact Wrestling. She was revealed to be the person behind all of it, which at that time she was officially written out of storylines with Impact Wrestling. Prior to joining Impact Wrestling, of course, Taya Valkyrie regularly wrestled for AAA from 2012 to 2017. During her time there, she held the Reina de Reinas Championships on 3 separate occasions. Technically, she is still the AAA Women's Champion. She's held it since September of 2019. A lot of people I've seen are saying, well, is she going to have to do a AAA booking to drop it? I think given the status of the pandemic right now, given the fact she's officially signed with WWE, I don't think they would say, oh yeah, you can go do the AAA booking. If this was in a normal world and a normal climate right now, they would have probably said, you know, finish up your bookings, drop it. Now I just think AAA would just vacate the championship and move on. As I mentioned, she's been the champion there since September of 2019, so I think it's likely they'll go around and figure out another way around to that. But this was expected. If you've watched the channel anytime we've done videos talking about Taya Valkyrie, because we've spoken about her a lot recently, obviously with her contract situation finishing up with Impact Wrestling, we spoke about her options several times, and I always said that I felt the most likely destination for her to go would be WWE. I never really felt she would go to AEW, and again, this isn't me, you know, burying or disrespecting the AEW women's division or anything like that. Not to say that I thought she was too good for it, I just didn't think it made any sense for her to go there, frankly. And I've mentioned this time and time again when it comes to the AEW women's division. The talent is there. The talent absolutely is there in the AEW women's division. You've got Britt Baker, you've got Hikaru Shida, you've got Nyla Rose, you've got Abaddon, you've got Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb. The list goes on and on of the talent they have there. But there is a fundamental issue with how AEW books its female talents. I think there's a fundamental issue in AEW possibly not believing in women's wrestling, or certainly not giving them the opportunity to succeed, the opportunity to thrive in situations where they would thrive. You know, when is the last time we're going to see AEW Women's main events on Dynamite? When are we going to see an AEW Women's Championship match, main event a pay-per-view, main event a TV special? When is the time we're going to have multiple female matches in the show? I know they've got this tournament going on now, and that might be a sign in the right direction. I just never felt someone with the caliber of performer of Taya Valkyrie, and she is 37 years old, I believe, around that age. I just didn't think it was the right move. I just didn't think it was the right move for her to go to AEW, and I always felt she would go to WWE. Look at WWE and you compare it to Impact Wrestling when it comes to the female wrestling side of things. I would argue that WWE, especially in North America, globally, obviously there are some promotions in Japan, but certainly in North America, there's only one company that arguably has a stronger women's division than Impact Wrestling. That is WWE. WWE's female division is unbelievably strong. You know, even if you segregate it to the separate brands, NXT's women's division is massive. It's massive, and it's incredibly strong and incredibly deep. You know, you've got talent last night, NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day winning the first ever Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic in Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So their commitment to women's wrestling and the amount of talent they have in their women's division is insane. And then if you go to WWE, you know, they've got bona fide superstars and headliners on their main roster, whether it is Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Asuka, the list goes on. And then obviously you got names in NXT as well, like Io Shirai and those names. So Rhea Ripley's just gone to the main roster. I mean, the list really does go on and on. That's how strong it is. That's the strength and depth that WWE has when it comes to their women's division. So it always made sense for me that Taya Valkyrie went to WWE. It was always the most obvious destination for her, and I'm glad that she signed there. I am glad, obviously. I don't think, I've said this a couple of times with recent names about their departures recently, whether it's, Ethan Page or other names like that. I did feel previously that maybe they could have done with an extra year in Impact Wrestling. Or maybe they should have stayed in Impact Wrestling for a little bit longer. Maybe they should have done this, they should have done that. I think when it comes to Taya Valkyrie, the timing was absolutely right. I think the timing was perfect for her to leave. She had pretty much done everything that she could do, I think, in Impact Wrestling. Could she have won the Knockouts Tag Team Championships there just coming back? Of course she could have. But I think given the stage of her career, given that she is the longest reigning Impact Knockouts champion of all time, it just, to me, it always made sense that she would move on to WWE. Of course, she's got the connection there with her husband, John Morrison, as well. I felt that, and I still do feel this. I still feel that, to be honest, if you're Taya Valkyrie, I know there's expectation that she'll head to NXT now, and she'll be part of the latest WWE Performance Center recruits signings class. They announced the signing class on social media, and there's an expectation she'll be a part of that. So she'll be on NXT soon, but I personally felt that she would be one of the very rare exceptions to the rules where she could go straight to the main roster. I think given her experience, given how well-rounded a performer she is, and most importantly, given her relationship with John Morrison, I think she could have slotted straight into Monday Night Raw. I've been pitching this stable for a long, long time, and having The Miz, John Morrison, and Taya Valkyrie. It's kind of an updated version of the Miz Taraj that they had in 2017, 2018. Obviously, back then you had The Miz, you had obviously Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and then you had Maurice, and it was that kind of faction. I think they could do an updated version of that and have The Miz, John Morrison, and Taya Valkyrie. That would be a really interesting and exciting stable to have on Monday Night Raw. So that doesn't look like that's going to be the case for now. I think that's something they absolutely could address in the future. But Taya Valkyrie is heading to WWE and heading to NXT, and frankly, considering they've just lost Rhea Ripley to the main roster, what a great ready-made replacement that you have in Taya Valkyrie. I mean, if you haven't seen her work, if you're just seeing this video because you're now hearing the name Taya Valkyrie for the first time, go back and watch her stuff in Impact Wrestling. She was in a roster that's really, really deep of real high-quality female wrestlers. Taya Valkyrie was one of the best. She really was, and she is one of the best. So I think she's going to do absolutely spectacularly well in WWE. The transition from NXT to main roster when it comes to female superstars is far more smoother than it is for the male superstars right now. I think she'll have huge success, and frankly, I would be surprised if she wasn't the NXT Women's Champion by the end of the year. She is that good. If there's anyone to take the Women's Championship away from Io Shirai right now, it's someone like Taya Valkyrie. It really is. She has the quality. She has the quality and the experience and the in-ring capabilities, the persona, all of it. She has the qualities to carry that women's division if an Io Shirai goes to the main roster. She really is that strong. So I expect her to be NXT Women's Champion, to be honest, pretty soon. I think it's absolutely a possibility, and I'm excited to see it. I'm a big fan of Taya Valkyrie. I've followed her work in Impact for a long time, and even going back to Lucha Underground and some of her matches in AAA. She really is an excellent worker. So it's a huge signing for WWE. It's a massive signing. It's not that surprising, but it's a massive signing regardless for WWE. But it wasn't the only name announced that would be signing with WWE last night at NXT TakeOver, because Eli Drake, another former Impact Wrestling star, has signed with the WWE. Now, obviously, most recently, he wasn't with Impact Wrestling. He was actually with the NWA. But the former Eli Drake has arrived in WWE. He arrived last night on the NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day pre-show. Now, during the pre-show, Drake interrupted panelists Wade Barrett, Sam Roberts, and Barstool Sports' Brandon Walker. Drake cut a promo about joining NXT and announced that his new in-ring name would be L.A. Knight. Now, Drake insulted the panelists and said he was injecting a little bit of star power into the pre-show. Drake announced his new name and said NXT might have a stacked deck, but while they're playing cards, he just walked in rolling dice. Drake said that he just changed the game. He mentioned the NXT North American Championship and the NXT Championship, and said anyone walking around with those titles should make sure they have their eyes open because he's coming for them. Drake ended his promo by declaring this is now LA Knight's game. Now, of course, prior to signing with WWE, Drake was most recently, as I mentioned, with the NWA. He held the NWA Tag Team Championships with James Storm from January of last year to November. Not that that was a big deal because there wasn't many title defenses due to the pandemic, but as I mentioned, when it comes to his Impact Wrestling connection, he's also a former Impact Wrestling World Champion. Drake, whose real name is Sean Ricker, was actually part of the WWE developmental system from 2013 to 2014, but he left... He left back then due to issues with the trainer at the time, Bill DeMott. Not the only person to have issues with him. But Eli Drake is in WWE too. Again, very big signing. I think it goes to show WWE doesn't really have a prejudice anymore about age. You would have thought previously people like Taya Valkyrie and Eli Drake coming from Impact Wrestling or coming from the indie scene, being 37, 38 years of age, that would have said to WWE, no, you're too old, you missed your opportunity, no chance. Whereas now, they're open to anything. They're open to anyone and anything. And Eli Drake, to be honest, it's a bit of a crime it's taken this long to get to WWE, frankly. If you look at Eli Drake, he's everything WWE historically would look for. He's got a great look, a great physique. He's an unbelievable talker. That's arguably the strongest element of his game. Yes, he is a body guy. Yes, he does have a great physique and a great look. But the biggest selling point of Eli Drake always has been his mic skills. I mean, it's always been his mic skills. What got him over in every single place he's been in. Whether it was Impact Wrestling, the Fact of Life talk show segment or talking segment, whether it was in NWA, he absolutely thrived doing the podium interviews that were a real good staple, throwback staple of that show. So it is strange that it's taken this long for Eli Drake to make it in WWE, as it were. Obviously, when he was in developmental, he wasn't the Eli Drake that he is now. He looked different, wasn't as big, wasn't as well-rounded. Took a while, and to be honest, I'm surprised when he was with the NWA that he didn't become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I think there probably were plans. If you look at those early Eli Drake promos and vignettes they did, there were plans to move him into that main event role, but NWA Power didn't last that long because of the pandemic. It is coming back soon, but it goes to show all of this NWA stuff, there's been a lot of confusion about the status of the company. The NWA is still around. They picked up options on Nick Aldis's contract recently. Thunder Rosa is still under contract, but some of these guys who were under contract with them, and Eli Drake, James Storm, Eddie Kingston's another name, their contracts expired and then they could go to the companies that they wish. It's a good signing for Eli Drake, and it's a good signing for WWE. Do I see Eli Drake going to the main roster? I mean, that's a difficult one, I think. You know, I know the intention of NXT is that everyone ends up on the main roster. There was a period of time, though, and Samoa Joe was one of the first names for this, that there was a period of time where NXT was signing people from the independent scene like a Samoa Joe, and the intention really was to never have him on the main roster. They were just going to be NXT guys, and they were just going to help, you know, develop the NXT brand, help get the younger guys over. Do I see Eli Drake heading to the main roster? You know, I don't know. I think everyone ends up going to the main roster, I suppose, but if they were to do it, if you're going to make the most out of Eli Drake, you would think you're going to have to do it relatively quickly, considering he is 38 years old. I suppose it's a similar situation to when Bobby Roode signed with NXT. You know, Bobby Roode was around the same age. How old is he now? 41, 42, around that period of time. So, and that was what he signed with NXT in 2016, so that's like 5 years ago. So again, roughly around the same age at that period of time. Just because, I guess, you're a little bit older doesn't mean you can't have success in WWE. Bobby Roode was very successful in NXT. Eli Drake, can he be the NXT champion? Absolutely. Eli Drake can absolutely be the NXT champion. Again, he's got everything that WWE looks for. I mean, if you're going to say, what does WWE historically look for? They look for someone like Eli Drake. You know, great look, great physique, great talker. That's the real selling point of Eli Drake. And I think that's the reason that he might, you know, become NXT champion. That's the reason he might get to the main roster quicker than some other people, because he's a character. He is a character. I think Vince McMahon will see Eli Drake cut a promo and say, you know what, this guy works for me. This guy can be given a massive long script and recite a promo. This guy can cut a promo off the cuff like that as well. That's what Vince McMahon likes. That's what Vince McMahon looks for in the modern day talent. Is it what, you know, fans like? Is it what pro wrestlers like in terms of, you know, cutting a promo and in terms of being given a script and all that? Historically, no. But Eli Drake is perfect, really, for the WWE system. Again, it's very surprising it's taken him this long to get on camera for WWE. I would have thought that when he left Impact Wrestling, he would have been a shoo-in to go to WWE then, or an AEW then. I know that AEW at one point were interested in Eli Drake. Maybe he felt his skill set was best suited for WWE. I don't know. I think Eli Drake, though, the same with Taya Valkyrie, when you're signing these people, you're signing very experienced people that are ready to go right now. Arguably, they don't even need to go on NXT, but they'll make NXT better for it. I think it's a statement of intent by NXT. I've said before that I don't think NXT are really competing enough with AEW. I think their purpose on Wednesday nights is to take viewers away from AEW as opposed to win that war and win that battle. Signing people like Taya Valkyrie and Eli Drake, is that going to shift the needle? I don't think so. But you know, these were guys that if they were signed by AEW, we would all be raving that it's a fantastic signing and a great bit of business by AEW. So why isn't it a great bit of business for WWE? It is. It absolutely is. And it just goes to show, you know, if you watch Impact Wrestling, you never know where those stars might end up in a couple of years of time. So certainly some very big news and certainly some fantastic signings by WWE. Taya Valkyrie and Eli Drake. Maybe some more coming soon. We'll have to wait and see, but it certainly is some very big news for Impact Wrestling and WWE and NXT and all that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, we've got all that coming soon, so be sure to subscribe. But of course, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Taya Valkyrie and Eli Drake signing with WWE? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, Impact Wrestling, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, a lot of New Japan stuff to talk about over the course of the next few days. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to WrestleNews 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.